It's the e-commerce master plan podcast. Here to help you solve your marketing problems and grow your e-commerce business. Cutting through the hype to bring you inspiration and advice from the e-commerce sector and beyond. Here's your host, Chloe Thomas.
Hello and welcome to our latest podcast. I'm Chloe and it is great to have you listening. In today's episode, we talk solving customers' problems, having a multi-skilled team, product range expansion and more. Now, without the sponsors, the podcast wouldn't be possible, so please do check them out. This episode is brought to you by SendPro Online from Pitney Bowes. SendPro Online makes it easy to save time and money, no matter what you send or ship, and you'll always get the best rates and never overpay. With SendPro, you can compare shipping rates between carriers, plus save 5 cents a letter and up to 40% off USPS priority mail shipping. As a listener, you can get a free 30-day trial and a free £10 scale, but only when you visit pb.com/masterplan. That's pb.com/masterplan. And now to introduce today's special guest. Michele Poynter is the founder of Mish, the multi-award-winning lingerie boutique. It's a bricks and clicks business founded in 2009. They are now turning over £750,000 per year. Hello, Michele.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you on. And I think you might be our most award-winning guest ever, actually, because you've been racking them up, haven't you?
Yeah, we have. But that's pretty cool. I didn't know that. So that's almost like an award in itself.
It is, isn't it? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about the business rather than the awards you've won. So before we get into the nuts and bolts of the business, how did you get started off in e-commerce in the first place?
So it's a bit of an unconventional story, although I wonder if many actually are. And it predates 2009. It was actually when I was at university. I had gone to Debenhams and they had a big sale on, and both myself and my mum struggled to buy pretty underwear in our sizes, and I saw some in the sale and I thought, brilliant, I'll get some for her, take it home in the holidays, win some brownie points. But unfortunately, when I took them home, they didn't fit. And I now had them too long to take them back. So being a student, I wanted some money for them. So I used what was back then not very particularly well known, eBay, and particularly not for selling lingerie. But I thought, well, I'll get a few pounds for them. And anyway, I put them on an auction and made a profit.
Nice.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then the sale in Debenhams went, it was 70% off at the time, and it went to 70% off, buy one, get one free. So not sure what was happening in their buying department, but nevertheless, I could buy bras at about £3.50 from well-known brands. So I bought some more, took them home, and the same thing happened again. I made a profit on all of them. So I went back to Debenhams and bought everything they had, and that paid me through my exams. And from there, I just had a bit of a bug. So I finished university and then I went off to do a ski season, and it was time to, look for a real job. And I didn't want one. I wanted to sell lingerie online. So I rang my dad and said, that's what I'm going to do. And he said, will you take a job somewhere else first for a year? So you've got it to fall back on and you'll learn some things along the way. And then start if you want to. And that's basically what I did.
That's a good piece of advice there as well, I think. Go and work somewhere for a year and get that experience, because you learn so much, especially in those first years in places. Do you think it was a worthwhile pause as such?
Massively. So it was a graduate placement with a big food retailer. So it was quite a fast program, and I was in many, many departments. And in one respect, you could say, well, what's that got to do with selling lingerie online? But it had as much to do with customer behavior and buying patterns and logistic and the value of other people's knowledge and experience as well. So, it was absolutely invaluable in the end. Very, very pleased I did that, even though I didn't stay in there any longer than I particularly had to. I, moved on. It was invaluable.
Almost like being paid to take a mini MBA in some ways.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I suppose it was, yeah.
Cool. Well, look, let's talk a bit about Mish and where the business is and how it is. So where in the world are you and where are you selling to?
So we're based in Cornwall in the UK.
Yep, you are one of the few guests I could have done this face-to-face with.
Yes, yeah, just down the road from you, absolutely. Yeah. So based down in Cornwall in the UK, and we sell worldwide. And I think that's probably the beauty of selling online, although we are bricks and click. It doesn't really matter where based, and I can choose to be in the back of the shop in the office, or I can choose to be sat at the dining table at home. So that's quite nice as well.
Definitely. And your product, obviously we said lingerie, but that covers a multitude of things and a multitude of retail structures. So which bits of it do you do?
So we sell lingerie, as in bras, knickers. We sell nightwear, as in sort of silky chemises and fluffy pajamas, and swimwear, so bikinis, swimsuits, matching wraps, little bit of accessories on that side, so things like beach bags, and then lingerie accessories, so things like stick-on bras, so they're really able to be backless and strapless, Rixie clips, which can make a bra band smaller, bandelettes, which stop thigh chafing, haltos, which stop knots from halter neck swimwear and digging in your neck. So all sorts of bits sit around our core business, which is lingerie and the swimwear.
Excellent. And quite a diverse mix. That's the word I was using for. Quite a diverse mix of products in there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of our strategies, to be honest. The danger, I think, of being too narrow is if something goes wrong with a supplier, at the very least, that season is a struggle, but potentially much more is a struggle. Or if somebody else moves into your market and just undercuts you, which is something we've seen happen with some of the lingerie brands we stock, that can be incredibly damaging. Your business can halve overnight. So I like the fact that we've spread our risk as much as anything else, and our ability to upsell. So there's only so many bras I can sell to one lady, but actually we can sell bras, we can sell matching knickers, we can sell swimwear, we can sell the accessories. So we can do more with the customers we have, and we can attract more customers because they're looking for different things.
Because I guess one of the challenges with bras in particular is that whilst they can be seen as a sexy luxury treat, they are also, for most of us, a commodity item. We know our size, we know which brand we like, we know which style we want, and we're just going to buy it at the cheapest price.
Yeah, it's funny because it goes, I suppose, three different ways. The two that you've demonstrated there, and then we have this whole third area, which is actually women don't know what size they're wearing and don't know what style suits them best. And even if they did at some point, bodies change. Weight gain, weight loss, babies, medication, fitness, the list goes on. It all changes it. And I mean, in the bricks side of the business, we will barely see a lady a day that is wearing the correct size, and that probably means she's already a customer of ours. So the online side is quite tricky to keep the returns rates nice and low, but equally giving customers as much information about the product and how it's going to fit and what it's similar to. So they get some confidence. If they bought this from this particular brand, then this one over here might work too, or this one absolutely will not because they're too different.
And what platform are you using to sell on? Are you a Shopify, Magento, or something a bit more bespoke?
So again, we have spread our wings in this area as well. So we have a dedicated website which is run through WooCommerce. And then for some pieces, we also sell still on eBay where we started, particularly when it comes to the clearance side of it. And then for the accessory side of it, Amazon.
Excellent. So right product, right place, I guess, is your platform strategy.
Yes, and we've tested, we've put a lot more on in some of those areas and then taken them back off again if that's not quite the right place for it. And we'd be open to more platforms as and when they come available or seem to be the right fit, really. But it is it's about the right fit, and I think you can't deny the sheer volume of traffic that the third-party platforms offer. So it's getting that balance between the volume of potential customers seeing your products versus the costs of being on those platforms.
Oh, so true. Now, your team, what's that looking like? Are you all in-house? Have you outsourced things? And what are people focused on?
So we're a fairly small team of about 5. We're basically all in-house. We do have a web developer who built our website in the first place, and tinkers with it every now and then when we want something changing that we can't do in-house. But the more we can do in-house, we do in-house. And again, with the marketing, sort of graphic design side of things, most happens in-house. And then we'll just reach out as and when we need pieces doing. And then for our SEO, again, when we're doing what it is we normally do, we do that in-house. And when we want to learn something new or try a different strategy, we pull in outside help.
I think it's a really sensible way to do it, isn't it? You get the maximum bang for your investment by doing the kind of the business as usual activities in-house and then calling on the specialists for those out of the box things. Yeah,
completely. It's kind of, we take the legwork on ourselves because there are points in the day which are quieter. There's the business is all housed out of one unit. So there's a shop front out the back, and then there's offices and packing rooms and things at the back. So staff can move from one area to another. But equally, there are points in the day when all the online orders have gone out, all the emails have been replied to, and there's no customers in the shop. So there's time to get on with background jobs of listing new things on the website, preparing for the next season, etc., etc.
And so have you got everyone in the team doing everything from manning the till and doing the fittings through to writing email copy?
Most. There are a few jobs which lie with a few people, but everybody can fit and work the till. So everyone can do front of house and with the customers, because that's most important. With all the other roles, if you've got an online customer who wants to know about a product, the best way you're going to know about it is because you've handled it, you've fitted it, you've hung it up. You know exactly how many hooks are on the back of it. You know how thick the strap is, you know whether it's fully adjustable or partially adjustable. So you get all that information out the back. So it kind of makes everything else fit together really nicely. Everybody can dispatch items because that just needs to be done daily. So it happens so often. And then, who writes copy and who writes Facebook posts is just a couple of the girls.
Excellent. So maximum flexibility going on.
Yes.
Very cool. And okay, so we've covered a few of the key points of the business there, but I always think lingerie is one of the most difficult areas to sell online because you've got so much sizing and so many fit issues. I guess here's a cheeky question. Do you wish you'd done something else several, 10 years down the line? You're going, gosh, I wish I'd just gone for T-shirts or something.
I guess the answer is yes and no. Yes, because we pride ourselves on our fitting. So the products have to be perfect in terms of how they fit, but in our brick side of it, our fitting service is spot on, and we can deal with most queries over the phone or via Skype or whatever is needed, and fit people remotely if needed. But that does mean that we house nearly 100 sizes. So to take one line in one colour is already nearly 100 SKUs for some of our lines. That's painful, quite frankly. As opposed to,
that's a lot of cash, isn't it?
Yeah, completely. And on our weaker lines, our sort of peripheral lines, where should we be spending our money? Becomes, I think, much more challenging. You can't just go, I'll have 100 of them, 100 of them, 100 of them, and be done with it. However, it's absolutely fascinating at the same time, and you don't get the same. I remember when I came out of food retail, one of the first interviews I did, and the line sort of sticks with me, is, you don't get the same sense of achievement when you sell somebody milk and bread. When you get a lovely email back, or you see a post on social media from somebody about how the bra set has made them feel, or how the bandelettes have meant they can wear dresses again, or the haltos meant they can wear halter neck swimwear for the first time in 10 years. That's a really good feeling. And whereas the good feeling doesn't pay the bills, it does make it a really nice place to work, and a reason to want to do it again tomorrow and the next day and the next day.
Now, you mentioned during that, thank you for giving such a good answer to such a cheeky question, for starters.
That's okay.
But also, you mentioned that you do virtual fittings or remote fittings. Is that literally both getting you and the customer being on Skype and doing it that way?
Yeah, it can be. that way, or it can be much more over the phone, because the chances are the customer doesn't have any products close enough to their size to be valuable to necessarily see. If I'm asking about, where the band is sitting on the back, I don't need to see it. If I say, is it riding up your back? And the answer is yes. I don't really need to see how far up the back. But yeah, it can be as simple as me sat at a computer with Skype, and then on the other end, stood there in their trousers and their bra. You just, very depends on the person and the situation, really.
I think because when you're a business who prides yourself on the fit, that's quite hard to achieve over a distance.
It is, and we do have things like an online fitting calculator, so you can put in some basic measurements and it'll give you a rough idea of what you should be wearing. But what it can't do is take into account how elasticated some products are versus others, how the cut of the bra and the style is going to fit to the shape of your rib cage, whether you've got a pronounced sternum or whether it sort of dips. So therefore, where the wires in the centre should be finishing. It can't give you any of that information. And to be fair, none of the online calculators out there can give that. So we like to try and carry on the service that we offer in the bricks on the click as much as possible. And much of selling lingerie is about matching somebody's expectations or wants than it is about the hard and fast fit, if that makes sense. So, you will get people that ask for things that do not suit them in the slightest.
But they're wearing them.
Yeah. And actually, when you get the opportunity to explain why and how they can achieve the look they want, but with a different product, that is so much more valuable. And that is so much more likely to make them a repeat customer, because you've taken that time to give that information. Because, one thing we often get asked for is, why can't I have a padded plunge when I'm a 30J? They're all rubbish and I just fall out of them. And it's because it's just at the point where there's too much weight on the material and it's going to fold. It's just an engineering it's pushing the engineering too far. However, when you ask them what would they like to wear it with and what look are they trying to achieve? And you're like, okay, well, we can do that, but we can do it with a different bra that's got a different shape. And funnily enough, you'll be a lot more comfortable, et cetera, et cetera. Then that's great.
Yeah, it's that difficult thing of when to tell the customer that they're wrong in a very nice way, but when to tell the customer that they're wrong, or kind of like digging into the real reason behind the purchase to actually work out what the right thing is. And it's what I think is one of the big beauties of customer service when that actually happens.
Yeah, and I think online or offline, it's about the customer experience. Because you could there are much bigger lingerie retailers than us, and they might offer different types of good customer service. But if you're a bit lost as to what you should be wearing or something keeps failing, then you really need to speak to somebody who has first-hand knowledge of those products, which you're not going to get from a pure play sort of online only retailer, because chances are they've never even taken it out of the packet because they don't need to in their business. So I think we look at what works well for us in the bricks and mortar, and we do our best version of that online. And one thing that sets us apart, and one thing as to why we get the awards, is the levels that we'll go to with the customer service, rather than it just being about discounting and free shipping. We offer a different customer service, if you like, to some of the others.
Which is harder to achieve, but also a lot more rewarding when you get it right, both emotionally and financially, I should guess. Yes.
And in a world where customer loyalty is a different beast to what it was, to be fair, 20 years ago, for example, you've got to have that personal element. There's got to be a reason why they want to buy from you again. That being the lowest price will make them buy from you once, but if you're not the lowest price next time, then why are they going to buy from you again? So you have to come up with other reasons for them to buy from you, whether that be a unique collection, the only person you can get it from, extra customer service and knowledge. You've got to have a reason for them to buy from you.
And just changing tacks a little bit here, but you, as well as having these products that have to be fitted right, you also have a large number of products that are one size fits all, which is quite an interesting kind of, not quite contradiction, but a very different way of approaching the same or achieving the same ends for the customer.
Yeah, completely. And I think it actually goes back to your cheeky question earlier about would I have chosen something different? And I wouldn't have chosen anything different, but to allow us to have that time with those customers on those items and still scale the business up, we had to add in some items that weren't so dependent on that feature, but also complement what we've already got and either are upselling to those customers or are attracting new ones. So yeah, we have things like Rixie clips, which slide on the back of the bra band, and as well as being able to make it longer, which many adjusters can do, this one allows you to make the band smaller. So if you are particularly slim framed and you struggle with your back size, you can make it a whole back size smaller. And if the bra has just stretched quicker than expected and you don't want to give up wearing it yet, then again, you can make the band smaller. So that appeals to lots of people that aren't necessarily just our customer that wants help with fitting. And with things like the bandelettes, they're lace thigh bands that stop your legs rubbing in the summer. Well, there's all sorts of weird and wonderful alternatives. Spraying deodorant on your legs, using Vaseline, cycling shorts, but none of them are particularly attractive. So those examples come in. They actually come in a couple of sizes, 6 for the bandelettes and 4 for the Rixie clips, but they're much, much easier.
That's a lot less than the 100 for a bra, though, isn't it? That's essentially no sizes in comparison. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So from a business perspective, the returns are lower because there's less likely of errors to be happening in terms of ordering. They go through a letterbox. Their price point is relatively low, things that are kind of key for selling in sort of volume. So they're great, really.
And they're still solving the customer's problem, which is essentially what you're doing with the focus on fit, is you're solving the problem of this bra is uncomfortable, I want to look good in this dress. It's all about finding the right solution to the problem, and the kind of the no size in inverted commas accessories are doing exactly the same thing, it strikes me.
Yeah, exactly. So we're just taking a slightly different problem that women have got and we're still fixing it. So I think that's perhaps what our business is. Maybe rather than a lingerie and swimwear shop, we'll just keep fixing ladies' problems, whatever they may be. Whether they're wearing the swimwear in the right size or not is sort of irrelevant with that product. So they can buy that as a standalone. Then they've had nothing to do with us and how they bought their swimwear, or it can be bought in conjunction with swimwear that they're buying from us. So,
E-commerce Master Plan is supported by some of the greatest companies in the e-commerce sector. Here's a reminder of who they are.
Shipping is complex. Now there's a better way to manage it all. Send Pro Online by Pitney Bowes. Easily compare USPS and other shipping options, print labels and stamps on your own printer, track all shipments, plus, despite the USPS post rates increase in January, you'll still get great discounts on USPS priority mail shipping and get 5 cents off every letter you send. Send Pro Online is only $14.99 per month. You can get a free 30-day trial when you visit pb.com/masterplan, plus a free £10 scale. That's pb.com/masterplan.
It's time for the top tips round.
I love this section because it gives me and our listeners some really quick ideas for taking our businesses to the next level. So, Michelle, are you ready for the top tips?
Yes.
Book top tip then. If everyone listening to this podcast agreed to take Friday off and read a book to make their business better, which book would you recommend?
Well, I am the world's worst at sitting down and reading a book, but what I have found works for me is audiobooks. And I'm also really bad at sitting still. So I tend to listen to them actually when I'm running, because seems that like you kill more birds with one stone. You've got the book going on, you've got running and taking in the outside and the fresh air and everything else. But in terms of the book, am I only allowed to pick one?
I'll let you have 2 if you'd like to.
Thank you. Many people would have read them already, but Sheryl Sandberg's Lean In And then can I be really cheeky and go to 3, actually?
Oh, as you're in Cornwall, yes.
The second one would be Mel Robbins' 5-second rule. And then actually another one by Sheryl Sandberg, which is option B, which is not particularly a businessy book. It was written when her husband unexpectedly died while they were away. He was in gym and he's died very, very suddenly. And the thing for me to take away from that book in particular was that actually every version of what we do isn't plan A. Something will have changed along the way with everything. So whether it looks big or small, the thing that's staring us in the face, everything is some kind of version of plan B or option B. And it's just a really sort of refreshing way to look at and problems and how to build resilience and how to get around them, which I think although she's talking much on a personal level, obviously having such a big job as she does with Facebook, she has to bring all that back into the business world as well.
What an interesting thought. Whilst I mull that, here's another question for you. The traffic top tip, which marketing method do you either prize above all others or think doesn't get the press it deserves?
The one we prize above all others is working with bloggers and influencers. We've worked hard to build up some really good relationships with a few. And I think that customers really respond to seeing something being genuinely tested out, and then seeing it reappear again later. So even if the first bit is a paid bit of work, and obviously it states that, if the blogger genuinely likes it, that thing will reappear. A sports bra, for example, or a set of bandelettes, it will reappear later down the line because they need content and they will inevitably share the things they love. So you get this sort of, you know what you're paying and what your return on investment is going to be. But actually it's greater than that, because if you've chosen good bits and married them up with the right people, I think the value out of them is far greater than your initial return on investment.
I suppose that's the benefit of really finding those influencers who aren't your one-hit wonder Beyoncés or something, but they're rather, I suppose I should say Kardashian there. Not a one-hit wonder Kardashian, but rather they're someone who's truly passionate about whatever it is the product does.
Yeah. So it is about not just sending things off to everybody. So as much as it works for me and it works for my company, it has to be right. I could send off 100 products tomorrow and see no return from them if I've just sent them off willy-nilly to people who aren't interested and don't get it, and we haven't built any relationship up. So I think the relationship is hugely important, and how sort of relative that item is to them and their situation and what they like to talk about.
Okay, the tool top tip, maybe a collaboration tool, a social media plugin, a phone app, or just a way of working. Is there a cool little tool you use that makes you and your team more efficient from day to day?
Do you know what? I almost think there isn't. We have used various, we're quite a small team. So that makes it much more easy to communicate with each other because we're often inside the same building a couple of times a week with everybody. So yes, we do have a WhatsApp group, for example, for sorting out some bits and pieces. But then it's a bit old fashioned. There is like a handover book with really important things out the front, and there's things left in, we'll email each other, even though it's a shared sort of account. So yeah, nothing very exciting, actually. We have used more sort of complicated sort of calendars and things, but actually, it just increases user error and then things get missed. I wouldn't quite say stick Post-it notes everywhere, but yeah, not far off, to be honest.
There's nothing wrong with the old world when it comes to a tooltip. I personally believe. Okay, the growth top tip then. If you met someone today who's focused on growing their e-commerce business from 100 orders per month to 1,000, what would be your number one tip for them?
Find something that's unique. So, that's the golden goose, I suppose, if you've got a complete exclusivity, or it's your own, or it's a new invention. But the closest you can get to that, the better. I think online competition with an identical product from an identical brand is the thing that cuts your margin and cuts your orders the most. So if you can find something that is unique, then that is your best way to go from 100 to 1,000, definitely.
Awesome. Well, look, Michele, before we say goodbye, would you like to remind the listeners where they can find you and your business on the web and social media, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So our website is www.mish-online.co.uk. And then you can also find us on Facebook, and the company's just called Mish. And on Instagram, our handle there is Mish Lingerie. So yeah, give us a follow and come and see what we've got on offer.
I think we should say that Mish is spelled M-I-S-H as well, shouldn't we? Just so everybody's clear on that. So M-I-S-H to find the Mish business online. And I believe you've got a special offer for our listeners.
Yes, if any of the listeners would like to try out the bandolets or the Rixie clips or the Holtos or any of the other things, we've got 10% off the website if you use the code MASTERPLAN. So that's MASTERPLAN all in lowercase, and that will get you 10% off your first order.
Thank you very much. And there's one more thing to do before I'm going to let you go, which is you are, I do believe, currently helping other retailers to improve their businesses with one of our previous guests, Sam Taylor of DigiQuick. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yes, so Sam and I set up Retail Fixes a year ago, maybe a year and a bit, and it came off the back of we were often asked to help out at events, run workshops, and speak. But as a retailer doing that, you can't get much back from it in monetary wise, business growth wise, because you're talking as a retailer in that room. We came together and we were like, well, we should, if people want this, then we should just set this up as a business. And that's basically what we did. So we work with anything from startups up to businesses with a couple of £1 million turnover, with whatever their challenge is. It could be starting their business and which way they want to start and which platforms they'd like to be on. It could be a bricks and mortar that wants to transition into bricks and clicks. It could be a very established business on one platform that is not quite either wants to move platforms or is not quite getting their marketing side of it right. So we kind of see everything through a retailer's eyes. So absolutely, there are specialists for when you need a huge amount of in-depth knowledge in a particular field. But Sam and I basically cover the top 10 things that most retailers ask in most areas, I think is perhaps a good way to describe what we do. And it's been great.
If people want to get in touch with you about that, where can they find you?
If they email either Mish, which is MISH, at theretailfixers.co.uk, or they can email Sam at theretailfixers.co.uk. Drop us an email and we can go from there.
Thanks. Well, Michele, you're going to be really pleased to know that is everything I need from you now. So thank you very, very much for being on the e-commerce Masterplan podcast today. It's been an absolute pleasure having a chat with you, and you've shared so much. I know the audience will really appreciate it. So thank you.
And thank you very much for having me. It's been good. I've enjoyed it.
So good there to hear from the horse's mouth about how Mish has got that super talented team who experience all elements of the business, and they're therefore able to give phenomenal customer service and really get that fit and solve the customer's problems, be it face-to-face, online, virtually, via chat, or whatever other medium is being used. And lots of other great advice in the episode there too. Now, to get your hands on the notes from today's show, including the top tips, links and details of related episodes, then head over to ecommercemasterplan.com/podcast. I hope you have a great week and keep optimizing.
Thank you for listening to the e-commerce Masterplan podcast. Find out more at ecommercemasterplan.com/podcast.